Today, we're traveling into one of the world's most isolated and mysterious corridors. The Wakhan Corridor. This is the only road leading into the entire valley, a road that decides whether people can continue living here. Every 15 days, families wait for a truck that begins its slow climb from the nearest town into one of the world's most isolated mountain corridors. On board are bags of flour, cooking oil, fuel, medicine, clothing, and every other necessity that cannot be produced within the valley. As the truck pushes deeper into the mountains, the journey becomes more than a delivery route. Around each bend, another village appears. Children run toward the road. Women wait patiently to collect sacks of flour. Men search the truck for supplies their families have been waiting weeks to receive. The driver smiles as people gather around him. The moment this truck appears, children start running and the whole village gathers. They know it carries the supplies they'll depend on until the next journey. Village after village waits beside the same road, not simply for a truck, but for the connection it brings to the outside world. This is far more than a mountain road. It is the thread that holds an entire valley together. This is the Wakhan Corridor, where survival has never depended on conquering nature, but on learning to live with it. As the truck climbs higher, the valley begins to reveal itself. Towering mountains rise on both sides, many reaching beyond 6,000 meters, 19,700 feet, while the road follows the Wakhan River through a narrow ribbon of land. Most villages sit at around 10,000 feet above sea level, where every breath feels lighter and every harvest is hard-earned. This remote valley is wedged between three great mountain worlds. Pakistan rises to the south, Tajikistan watches from across the river to the north, and China lies beyond the towering peaks to the east. For centuries, these mountains have shaped not only the landscape, but also the lives of the people who call this valley home. A ribbon of glacial melt turns small patches of earth into fields and orchards. Beyond them, the land quickly returns to bare rock and snow. Without this water, there would be no crops, no villages, and no life. These villages are home to the Wakhi people, whose families have lived along the Wakhan River for centuries. Their homes are built from stone, mud, and timber, gathered from the valley itself. Each generation passes on the same knowledge: how to grow food, raise animals, and prepare for a winter that lasts much longer than the summer. Farther east, the road climbs onto the little Pamir, where the land rises above 13,100 feet. Here, farming gives way to herding. The Kyrgyz people move with their yaks, sheep, and goats, following seasonal pastures across the high plateau. With every mile, the valley reveals another way of life. Different people, different traditions, yet all are bound by the same mountains, the same seasons, and the same determination to endure. With every delivery, the truck grows lighter, but the journey becomes harder.
تابستون میای مال میخرن باز میبرن اینا می مشکلات مردم از اینجا میارن برای اینجا قچاله و دیگه پیاز و همین مشکلات موزه و بعد بلای کس همینو.
The paved road is long gone. What remains is a narrow track carved into the mountainside, just wide enough for a single vehicle. One mistake could send the truck hundreds of meters down into the river below. Yet even this road doesn't reach everyone. At the final stop, sacks of flour, cooking oil, fuel, medicine, and clothing are unloaded once again. But this is not the end of their journey. One by one, the supplies are loaded onto yaks and donkeys. Families tighten the ropes, shoulder what they can carry, and begin walking toward villages hidden beyond the mountains. Some will spend hours crossing narrow trails before reaching home. There are no shortcuts. What arrives by truck must complete the last miles on the backs of people and animals. The truck turns around and begins its journey back. For the families who remain, another journey has only just begun. As the road climbs toward the eastern edge of the Wakhan Corridor, the villages grow farther apart, and beyond the next mountain pass, the landscape changes once again. The narrow valley opens into the vast grasslands of the little Pamir, more than 4,000 meters, 13,100 feet above sea level. Here, the truck's journey finally comes to an end. There are no more roads to follow. One by one, the supplies are transferred from the truck onto waiting yaks. Soon, the caravan starts moving. Women and young children ride quietly on the backs of the yaks, while the men walk beside them across the cold, wind-swept plateau. Step by step, they cross the high desert, guiding their animals toward fresh grazing land, just as their parents and grandparents did before them. For the Kyrgyz people, migration is not a special event. It is part of everyday life. When the pasture is exhausted, they move. When winter approaches, they move again. Their home is wherever their animals can survive. Out here, yaks are far more than livestock. They carry food, shelter, and entire families across a landscape where no road can ever reach. As the caravan disappears into the endless grasslands, small homes slowly begin to appear on the horizon. Scattered across the little Pamir, these simple mud and stone houses stand alone against the vast plateau, surrounded only by mountains and grazing animals. There are no towns, no busy roads, and no markets. Only a few families living where the mountains meet the sky. One by one, the yaks are unloaded. Bags of flour are carried inside. Blankets are folded away, and the long journey finally comes to an end. From the outside, the homes seem modest, but every thick mud wall and low roof is built for a reason: to protect the family from fierce winds, freezing temperatures, and months of heavy snow. Inside, the atmosphere is completely different. The stove is lit, tea is poured, children gather around their parents, while elders quietly watch over the family. After a long day on the trail, the house fills with warmth, conversation, and the comfort of being together. Life is not easy here, but when we are all together in this home, we have everything we need. In a place where the nearest road ends miles away, these homes are more than shelter. They are where families rest, prepare for tomorrow, and find the strength to begin the journey again. As the truck begins its journey back through the Wakhan Corridor, the landscape changes once again. The endless grasslands of the little Pamir slowly disappear, replaced by narrow valleys where small patches of green appear along the Wakhan River. At first glance, this land looks impossible to farm. Yet every spring, these barren fields become the valley's greatest hope. The mountains are dry and barren, and rain is almost never enough to support life. But every village exists because of the streams that descend from the glaciers above. For generations, Wakhi families have guided this precious water through small irrigation channels built by hand. When the snow begins to melt in the mountains, the entire valley waits for the first flow of water because it marks the beginning of another season of work. As the fields turn green, the whole family becomes part of the harvest. Children kneel in the soil, placing potatoes into the small fields. Women carefully plant wheat, barley, and vegetables, while men repair irrigation channels and prepare the land. From sunrise until the evening light disappears behind the mountains, every pair of hands has a role. For a few short months, the valley transforms. Fields that once looked empty become covered with crops, but everyone knows this green landscape will not last forever. The land gives us little, so we have to work hard for everything. When the water comes, we know it is time to begin. Nothing here is wasted. Every seed planted, every drop of water carried, and every sack of grain stored away represents months of effort. The truck brings what the valley cannot produce, but these fields provide something even more important, the reason families can continue building their lives here. As the road continues through the valley, the journey reveals another side of the Wakhan Corridor, a place where survival does not only depend on what arrives from outside, but on what people can create with their own hands. The green fields of the Wakhan do not last forever.
For a few short months, the valley comes alive, but every family knows that the cold season is already waiting beyond the mountains. Before the first heavy snow arrives, there is a race to prepare everything they will need to survive. The grain, harvested from the fields, is carefully collected and stored. Wheat and barley are dried and saved for the months when nothing can grow. Vegetables are preserved, supplies are arranged, and every bit of food is protected because there will be no second chance once winter closes the valley. The work continues from morning until evening. Women prepare and preserve food for the coming months. Men repair tools, collect fuel, and make sure animals have enough to survive the cold. Children help wherever they can, learning the same responsibilities their parents carried before them. Winter is long here. Everything we prepare in summer helps us survive when the snow arrives. Nothing in the Wakhan is wasted. A successful harvest is not just about food, it is about making it through another winter. Every sack stored away, every animal prepared, and every task completed before the snow comes is another step towards survival. Because in this valley, summer is not a season of comfort, it is a season of preparation. The green fields disappear beneath a blanket of white. The narrow paths that connect villages become harder to cross, and the mountains surrounding the Wakhan Corridor feel even more distant from the outside world. For many families, winter is not just a season. It is a test that lasts for months. Everything prepared during the short summer now becomes their lifeline. Grain stored from the harvest becomes daily food. Dried vegetables provide what the frozen land can no longer produce. Animals become even more important, providing milk, wool, and support through the coldest months. Outside, the valley grows silent. Snow covers the trails, temperatures fall, and even simple tasks require more effort. There is no easy way through winter here. Families survive because they have spent the entire year preparing for it. But inside the homes, another world exists. As evening arrives, the entire family gathers around the bukhari, the small stove that becomes the center of life during the coldest months. Children sit close to the warmth, elders share stories. In a valley where winter can isolate families for months, these moments become more than comfort. They become a reminder that survival is not only about food and shelter, but also about the strength people find in one another. The same people who spent the summer working in the fields, guiding water from the glaciers, and preparing for the cold, now wait together for the return of spring. Every sack of grain stored away, every animal protected, and every fire kept burning carries the knowledge of generations who learned how to survive in this valley. Then, slowly, the snow begins to retreat. The frozen streams begin to flow again. The fields turn green once more, and the cycle of life in the Wakhan Corridor begins again. Winter slowly loosens its grip on the Wakhan Corridor. The rivers begin to flow once more. Fresh water returns from the glaciers, fields are prepared for another harvest, and the mountains echo with the sound of animals returning to the pastures. For the people of the Wakhan, this is not the beginning of something new. It is the continuation of a life their ancestors have lived for generations. Soon, the familiar sound of an engine echoes through the valley. Children are the first to hear it. They leave their homes and run toward the road. One by one, families gather beside the roadside, waiting for a truck that has become part of the rhythm of their lives. Its cargo is simple: bags of flour, cooking oil, medicine, fuel, and clothing. But to the people waiting here, it carries something much greater. It carries another season, another chance to continue, another reminder that even in one of the world's most isolated mountain corridors, life goes on. The Wakhi farmers will return to their fields. The Kyrgyz herders will once again cross the high Pamirs with their yaks. And another generation will grow up learning that survival here has never been about changing the mountains. It has always been about changing themselves. This is the Wakhan Corridor, a place where the road eventually ends, but human endurance never does.